We have been discussing on gender 2 days. Then for us it's really good try to discuss about the topic and try to understand new ideas, to get new information, and to get new results, research results. Everybody is going to have 10 minutes, okay? 10 minutes. Everybody have the presentation, the PowerPoint. The people who are online have the possibility to share your presentation, and the people here, Antonieta is going to help us. Okay, please respect the time. We are going to use my phone, to control the time, but you have to control your time, please. Okay. Then the first person who is going to present his paper. The paper is the role of progressive policies, digitalization, and online education in advancing gender equality in the maritime industry. Caterina Consta. And Rodopoulos Evangelos. Sorry for my pronunciation because I don't know the name. Okay, I don't know if Caterina is ready because he told me yesterday maybe he has some problems with the weather. Caterina?
She's connected.
She's connected?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Okay, Caterina, we are ready to listen to you. The floor is yours.
Si no está Rodopoulos también.
Rodopoulos? Can you hear us? Angelina? Caterina, sorry.
Hello. Hola from Greece. There is a bad connection, and that's why we prefer to have it with the video that we sent you, the presentation, and then we can answer the questions if it's possible.
Okay, perfect. Yes, we are going to use the video because they sent us a video yesterday because maybe today they have some problems with the weather and the power.
The weather is terrible here. There is okay.
The computer is loading, sorry. The video is coming?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
The maritime industry is evolving, but are we evolving with it? Despite decades of progress, women still face significant barriers to full participation, especially in leadership and seafaring roles. In this paper, we explore how progressive policies, digital tools, and online education can unlock new opportunities for women in maritime. But more importantly, we look at what's missing, what's working, and what still needs to change. When we refer to shipping or the maritime industry, we are talking about the entire global system that moves around 90% of world trade. It is much more than ships, it is a vast international ecosystem. At sea, we have the traditional seafaring workforce of around 1.9 million people worldwide. This includes deck and engineering officers, ratings, and more specialized roles like electro-technical officers. But an equally large and important part of the industry works ashore. These are practitioners in ship management companies, operations teams, technical departments, crewing managers, safety and quality specialists. In ports and terminals, we have pilots, stevedores, vessel traffic service officers, inspectors, and port state control authorities. The industry also relies heavily on maritime services, shipbrokers, charterers, freight forwarders, P&I clubs, surveyors, and maritime lawyers. And with digitalization, we now see new categories of roles such as maritime data analysts, cybersecurity specialists, AI and automation developers, and sustainability professionals focused on green shipping and decarbonization. So shipping is a complex, multidimensional workforce combining sea-based and shore-based expertise, working together to keep global trade moving. Gender equality in maritime, where are we? Despite some progress, gender inequality in maritime remains a critical issue. Women represent just 29% of the workforce and only 2% in seafaring roles. Our research highlights three main challenges: lack of effective policy enforcement, unequal access to digital tools, and workplace cultures that resist change. Yes, shipping remains a heavily male-dominated industry, though there are ongoing efforts to improve gender balance. The statistics paint a clear picture. Women represent only 1.2% of the global seafarer workforce, which means that approximately 24,000 women seafarers work within a total global workforce of 1.89 million. The gender imbalance varies by role. Shore-based positions show better representation, with women making up 34% of the shore-based workforce in ship-owning companies. Women account for 29% of the overall workforce across the general maritime industry. Women occupy only 5% of maritime leadership role. The global economy's reliance on sustainable seaborne trade necessitates the integration of gender equality and innovation to unlock its full potential. This paper is about the relationship between the implementation of progressive policies, digitalization, and online education, and the advancement of gender equality in the maritime industry. Digitalization and online education are powerful tools for progress. They offer flexibility, remote work opportunities, and targeted maritime training. However, barriers like poor connectivity, family obligations, and tech-resistant environments still limit their potential, especially for women at sea. This study used a qualitative approach to deeply explore gender equality challenges and progress in the maritime industry. While quantitative data can give us trends, qualitative responses allow participants to share nuanced experiences. Most questions were closed-ended, which enabled structured analysis, but we included one open-ended question to capture personal insights that statistics alone might miss. This approach helps us understand not just numbers, but the lived experiences and perceptions of maritime professionals. We are also aware that qualitative data can be subjective. The questionnaire was carefully structured to address the study's core objectives, understanding how policies, digitalization, and online education impact women's careers in shipping, as well as their ability to balance work and personal life. It consists of 6 sections, covering everything from basic demographics to future perspectives on gender equality. By distributing the questionnaire online, we were able to reach a diverse group of participants: seafarers, executives, policymakers, trainers, and women's advocacy groups. This ensured broad insights from multiple perspectives across the maritime sector. Responses analyzed using thematic analysis, recurring patterns, sentiments, and themes identified. Major themes: structural barriers, workplace culture, policy recommendations, personal experiences. Participants included seafarers, executives, industry stakeholders, and maritime educators. Ensured diversity across roles, sectors, and geographical locations. The 3 main challenges highlighted are: lack of effective policy enforcement, unequal access to digital tools, and workplace cultures that resist change. Research shows that policies, digitalization, and online education do influence gender equality in maritime, but their impact depends heavily on enforcement, accessibility, and how well they are integrated. The literature demonstrates 2 sides. When these tools operate alone, the impact is limited. But when combined strategically, they significantly increase opportunities for women. We still see important research gaps, especially in understanding long-term digitalization effects, regional disparities, and how technology, policy, and education intersect. These gaps justify the need for new, industry-specific frameworks. Respondents identified several barriers: unequal pay, maternity and flexible work limitations, safety concerns, and the lack of women in leadership roles. Digitalization brings strong opportunities: remote collaboration, flexible work, and new tech-driven career paths. But we still see cultural resistance and limited internet access at sea. Online education is particularly impactful because it offers flexible, specialized training. But financial constraints and difficulty balancing work, family, and study remain major challenges. The main conclusion is clear: progress is being made, but substantial barriers remain. To accelerate gender equality, we need the combined effect of progressive policies, digital transformation, and accessible online education. Key recommendations include strengthening inclusive policies, increasing leadership opportunities, investing in digital and AI-driven tools that reduce bias, and expanding flexible, affordable online learning. Achieving sustainable gender equality will require a coordinated, industry-wide commitment. Solutions do exist. Policies, supporting maternity leave, leadership development, and harassment prevention, are key. Emerging roles in green shipping and AI open doors for women, but without integration and consistent implementation, we risk leaving many behind. A truly inclusive maritime future requires bold, collective action. Progressive policies, digital tools, and accessible education are not optional, they are essential for gender equality in maritime. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you for the excellent video that we have here. Okay, please, if you have question, the question is gonna be at the end of all the presentation, okay? The next presentation is gonna be online too. Developing a framework for female representation in artificial intelligence governance in the Global South. Renata Siegold, she is from AI Global Exchange Forum. Renata, the floor is yours. We can hear you, Renata. The microphone maybe is off. We can hear you. Yeah.
No.
No.
Okay. Yeah, and so she can do next. No. Who's the next person? It's not online. Who is it? This person is who Sonda Julius. Oh no, it's online? Yes. Okay. Yes, they're on the pictures. Okay.
Then we are going to go with the next person. Maybe you can solve the problem. Okay, perfect. Okay, the next participant and the next panelist is Usonga Julius. His presentation is about gender in digital trade, a comparative analysis of policy frameworks for women lead in Africa. Okay, Gonza, the floor is yours.
No, si está solo como que tiene problema con su micrófono. No, sí, se le perdía.
Hello.
Oh, we can.
I can't see my presentation there. I don't know why. Is it there?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, colleagues. My name's Kugonza Julius, and I'm presenting together with my colleague, Mr. Ronald Insoka, who is also online. Today we share our study titled Gender in Digital Trade and Comparative Analysis of Policy Frameworks for Women-Led MSMEs in Africa. Yeah. Okay. Digital trade is rapidly reshaping how businesses operate across Africa, just like the rest of the world. And women-led SMEs form 1/3 to 1/2 of all SMEs on the continent, and digital tools offer them unprecedented opportunities for visibility, market access, and growth. However, these opportunities are not automatic. Women still face persistent barriers. For instance, lower digital literacy, high cost of smartphones and internet, limited access to finance, mobility restrictions, as well as significantly high exposure to online harassment and digital fraud. So the central question guiding our study becomes, do African digital trade and e-commerce policies intentionally address these gender-specific challenges? Our study therefore pursues 5 major aims: evaluate the gender responsiveness of digital trade and e-commerce policies. Number 2, compare policy approaches across Rwanda, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, as well as Egypt. Develop a gender-focused analytical framework for assessing policies. Then identify key policy gaps limiting women's digital trade participation, and then recommend actionable policy reforms aligned with SDGs, particularly SDG 5, 8, 9, 10, and 17. Ultimately, we aim to shift the conversation from access alone to meaningful digital inclusion. We selected these countries because they play influential roles in Africa's digital transformation. Rwanda, for instance, known for digital innovation and national ICT development. Kenya, which is globally recognized for M-Pesa and fintech leadership. Nigeria, which is the continent's largest economy and fast-growing digital sector. South Africa, with the most advanced digital regulatory environment. And Egypt, which has a strong digital transformation agenda and booming e-commerce. Together, they offer a rich and diverse policy sample for a comparative analysis. We conducted a comparative qualitative policy analysis using national digital economy. Using national digital economy blueprints, e-commerce laws, MSMEs development policies, ICT and trade facilitation strategies. We then analyze these documents through a structured 5-dimensional framework built specifically around gendered barriers in digital trade. Of course, these had earlier been identified through the literature review. Our framework includes 5 dimensions. Access. Women often lag in device ownership, digital literacy, and affordable. Is someone... Number 2, finance. I'm getting feedback. Women face 28%. Women are 28% less likely to access digital financial services. Collateral requirements and restrictive credit scoring systems create major barriers. Dimension number 3 is on logistics. Many women entrepreneurs run home-based businesses and face mobility limitations, making delivery and export processes difficult and costly for them. Then platform governance. Women face higher risks of cyber harassment, fraud, and data exploitation. Most policies do not address gendered online safety. Dimension number 5 is on empowerment. Few policies set gender participation targets or support women's representation in digital governance structures. This framework allowed us to systematically evaluate how gender is or is not integrated into digital trade ecosystems. Across the 5 countries, several patterns emerged. Policies frequently used broad terms like MSME support and inclusion, but rarely integrated gender-sensitive provisions. Observation number 2 was on few acknowledged constraints such as lower digital literacy among women and equal asset ownership. For instance, all women hold less than 20% of titled land, limited access to finance, and online harassment and cybersecurity risks. The fundamental issue is that gender neutrality does not equal to gender responsiveness. As a result, the gap between policy intent and women's lived realities remain wide. A quick comparative snapshot shows Rwanda, which has a strong implementation of digital inclusion programs, but limited gender language in actual policies. Kenya, excellent digital innovation ecosystem, but weak gender targeting in policies. Nigeria, great ambition, it has a great ambition, but limited gender integration across financial and logistical dimensions. South Africa, which is the strongest overall, it has the strongest overall regulation, but little gender differentiation in e-commerce and platform governance. Egypt, it has a robust digital transformation plans with insufficient translation into gender responsive policy measures. Across all the 5, policy architecture is progressing, but gender inclusion is lacking. Okay, we identified several critical gaps: gender neutrality policy frameworks that ignore structural inequalities. Gap number 2 was on lack of gender disaggregated data, making it hard to design evidence-based interventions. Gap number 3 was on insufficient digital financial inclusion mechanisms for women. Gap number 4 on weak logistics and export support, especially for the micro enterprises, which are mainly owned by women. Then poor attention to online safety with inconsistent protection from fraud or harassment. Gap number 6 was identified as fragmented coordination across ICT, trade, and gender ministries. Gap number 7 was on minimal empowerment programs for women in digital leadership. Gap number 8 is on social cultural constraints such as mobility limitations, which was rarely addressed. These gaps collectively weaken the environment for women-led SMEs. We propose 7 actionable policy reforms. Integrate explicit gender-sensitive clauses in all digital trade strategies. Expand digital literacy and device affordability programs targeted for women. Introduce gender-responsive digital finance, including credit guarantees, alternative credit scoring models, which could also help on women to ease on their access on finance. Then recommendation number 4 is on establishing women-focused logistics and export facilitation programs. Talk of the simplified trade regime, for instance, in the East African region that is used by many women cross-border traders. Strengthen platform governance with gender-sensitive online safety protocols. Improve institutional coordination, ICT, finance, gender ministry. Recommendation number 7 is to invest in women's leadership and mentorship to ensure representation in digital policy bodies. These recommendations provide a roadmap for advancing inclusive digital transformation. Our study contributes in three important ways. It bridges the gap between digital transformation and digital equality, an area often overlooked. It provides a structured topology, access, finance, logistics, platform governance, as well as empowerment that policymakers can adopt to assess and reform current policies. It aligns digital trade reforms with sustainable development goals, reinforcing the idea that digital inclusion is a development accelerator. To conclude, digital trade has enormous potential to uplift women entrepreneurs all over the world, but the benefits are not automatic. Gender-responsive policy design is essential if digital transformation is to produce equitable and sustainable outcomes. Our findings show that while African countries are rapidly digitalizing, gender inclusion remains underdeveloped. Closing these gaps can significantly accelerate women's meaningful participation in digital economies. Thank you so much for your attention. Welcome questions, reflections, and collaborations. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, the question is going to be at the end of all the participants.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we have to come back with Renata. We can try again, Renata.
Am I audible now?
Okay, perfect. Okay, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me turn off my phone. All right.
Okay. Fugonza? Could you please stop
Okay,
the presentation?
can you hear me? Yeah.
Sorry, Renata. Yes, we can hear you, but we have some problem here with the other presentation. Could you please wait? Okay. Okay, we are ready to listen to you. Renata, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. All right. So my apologies for the technical issues, but it's the beauty, right, of technology that connects us all, but sometimes not the way that we want. So thank you very much, everyone. Today I am going to present my research that I have conducted with the WTO in 2025, titled Developing a Framework for Female Representation in Artificial Intelligence Governance in the Global South. So this is a little bit about me. I am part of the AI Global Exchange Forum. I am also a professor, and I have published several articles on this topic, including with the United Nations since 2020. And I would welcome you to check this magazine from UN Today magazine, where you could find a little bit about my research on gender and trade, in particular when it comes to conflicts and war. So this is a short abstract about the research on how AI presents major opportunities. However, these opportunities are mostly for developed countries, so it deepens inequality in the Global South countries, especially least developed countries, of what we call new AI colonialism. So throughout this research, I profiled several AI national strategies to identify if they tackle emerging AI ecosystems in connection with gender equality. And it's very interesting to see that there is lack of data. So it was really a manual process for me to check over 100 countries' AI policies one by one. So it's part of the research as well to identify these gaps and, provide the recommendations for future research as well. And finally, I also profiled a few case studies, and I will talk a little bit more about it, how woman-focused crowdfunding platforms, they are helping these women to launch their own companies and startups as well. So just to share a little bit more about the data between women and AI, 90% of young girls and young women lack internet access. So this is a huge number we need to tackle infrastructure-wise, especially in these least developed countries, on how these women can have access to internet, which is the basis for the new economy. 28% of women are placed in STEM roles. 22% of women are AI professionals. So there is still a big gap between women and men in AI careers. And 25% of the global tech jobs are for women. However, when we talk about employment, women can also be the owner of their own startups, of their own companies. However, they lack awareness, and it is very difficult for them to access funding. Simply put, they do not know how to start a company and how to get funding for their own companies. So I talked about evaluating the gaps between the AI national strategies from different countries. And I have here the example of 3 different countries. However, I profiled, like I said, so many different countries, if you could still see here in the full report that I authored. Here, so many countries: Benin, Burkina Faso, Burundi, Cambodia, etc. They do not have any AI document, especially AI document including gender gap. So taking Comoros as an example, they have started to tackle this issue with programs together with the WTO, for example. So they shift from no gender lenses to something more structured, to have programs that are targeting women. So they started gathering data, for example, and to have more support to women for them to become entrepreneurs. Djibouti, for example, they started tackling gender through digital monetization, so they can have access to online payments, for example. So it's not entrepreneurship-wise, but it's another angle that they are taking. So right now, they have a target to reach 50% of women enrolled in the EID program from the government. And finally, Ethiopia is advancing well compared to other countries. They do have a strong integrated approach into the national AI policy, with programs for health care, for example, for women to be employed into STEM roles, and also for them to gain more digital financial literacy. Finally, I have an example of 2 companies that they are providing support for women, especially funding them so they can start their own startups. One is in Kenya. The company is an NGO actually called CEO. They offer 0 interest rate for women-led ventures by providing different funds and grants. Then there is the I Fund a Woman. It's a venture from the US, but it's very strong in least developed countries. And they have a full ecosystem that connects the entrepreneurs and also government grants, for example. So this is more or less the ecosystem that would be the ideal to have a woman-centric crowdfunding platform. So you have the platform, you connect the fundraisers with the female funders, and the banks also, they provide the loans to all the projects that are submitted and selected through these crowdfunding platforms. Finally, these are my policy recommendations. We are talking about a world where we are moving towards, digitalization, implementation of AI, but it must be in an ethical way. So you do have the OECD AI ethics principles, for example. Many other countries, or the G20, for example, they are tackling AI ethics. But I think one of the main principles of AI ethics could also include gender equity. So the countries, they start adopting this mindset, both internationally and domestically, before they develop their AI national strategies. So my first recommendation is to organize gender inclusive work groups to enhance ethical AI development in the Global South. The second one is to establish an AI ethics evaluation framework focusing on the core principles of AI ethics, which are transparency, accountability, privacy, bias, fairness, but also including gender equity. And finally, to enhance collaboration with private technology companies to promote the gender equitable AI ethics. So in this case, it is paramount to have a three pillar of the private industry, the public industry, as well as universities, for example, to work together and to have the support from big tech companies, for example, NVIDIA, you have Amazon, you have in China, for example, I used to work with Alibaba with different, projects, but they are not really gender related. There are no exclusive programs for women. So I think we should start thinking of different ways of including gender equity when it comes to AI and the responsible AI. So these are my findings. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Exactly 10 minutes. Wow. Perfect.
I'm always on time.
Thank you, Renata, for your contribution. Okay, we're going to continue with, I don't know. Thank you, because they are not. Leslie Lopez, yes. Paulino. Could you be here with us? Yes. You are 2 or 3? 2. You need a space. Maybe you can move. I think it's here. Because they need this space. Just for me, that's not sure. Ahorita you present yourself because you didn't present your the title of the presentation.
Buenas tardes a todos. Nos presentamos, somos alumnas de la carrera de Derecho de quinto año, egresadas, Cintia Navarrete y Paulina Salgado, y queremos presentar nuestra investigación respecto al comercio electrónico como herramienta para las mujeres en Chile principalmente, y partir con una pregunta, si el empoderamiento económico o es precarización laboral. Nos enfocamos principalmente en la investigación en nuestro país. Entonces, para contextualizar la presentación que a continuación hará Cintia, contarles que en el año 2023 en nuestra legislación se incorpora la ley FinTech. Voy a leer el nombre de la ley porque es bastante largo. Dice que promueve la competencia e inclusión financiera a través de la innovación y tecnología en la prestación de servicios financieros. Con esto, con esta ley del año 2023, la digitalización está transformando radicalmente la economía chilena, abriendo nuevas oportunidades para el emprendimiento y el acceso a servicios financieros. Sin embargo, este avance tecnológico no es neutro. Detrás de la aparente democratización del comercio electrónico y las finanzas digitales, persisten y se amplifican desigualdades históricas que afectan especialmente a las mujeres. Miles de mujeres en Chile han encontrado en el e-commerce una alternativa flexible para generar ingresos, utilizando principalmente redes sociales y plataformas digitales para vender productos y servicios desde sus propios hogares. Esta realidad, acelerada además por la pandemia, se presenta como un avance hacia la autonomía económica femenina. Pero, ¿esto es realmente así? Tanto el análisis sobre microempresarias en el comercio electrónico y perspectiva de género coinciden en que la digitalización puede ser una herramienta de empoderamiento, pero también un mecanismo que reproduce y digitaliza la precarización laboral y la exclusión financiera para las mujeres. Las mujeres siguen enfrentando barreras estructurales, por lo tanto, con un menor acceso a la educación financiera y tecnológica, una brecha digital, una falta de capital y sobrecargo de cuidados no remunerados. Esta ley, la ley FinTech, promueve la modernización del sistema financiero, pero la ausencia de políticas públicas con enfoque de género y de programas de alfabetización adecuados han perpetuado esta vulnerabilidad. Finalmente, a nivel normativo, contarles que en el año 2023 se incorpora la política exterior feminista y se plantea un plan nacional de derechos humanos 2022-2025, que de hecho ya tiene reportes, nos lo incorporamos en esta oportunidad porque estaba muy encima de esta presentación, pero ambas políticas marcan un hito en la agenda pública chilena. Ambos instrumentos reconocen que la igualdad de género y la protección de derechos en entornos digitales son condiciones indispensables para la innovación tecnológica que se traduzca en inclusión real. La PEF, la Política Exterior Femenina, transversaliza el enfoque de género en la agenda internacional digital, promoviendo cooperación y desarrollo de tecnologías inclusivas. Y el segundo plan de derechos humanos articuliza acciones intersectoriales, para fortalecer la promoción, respeto y protección de los derechos humanos, con énfasis en la igualdad, la no discriminación, inclusión financiera y la protección en entornos digitales. Con esto cierro la introducción del contexto en la normativa chilena. Es importante entonces preguntarse, ¿el comercio electrónico empodera realmente a las mujeres o profundiza la precarización que históricamente ha marcado su trabajo?
Buenas tardes. En base a la pregunta que acaba de exponer Paulina, es que es efectivo que para muchas mujeres el comercio electrónico se ha transformado en una vía concreta de generación de ingresos, más esta se convierte compatible con la vida doméstica y el cuidado. Sin embargo, para evaluar realmente su impacto, debemos observar desde condiciones que llegan a las mujeres con el e-commerce. Según los datos del INE, la informalidad laboral femenina no solo se mantiene alta, sino que además con el pasar de los años ha aumentado, mientras que la informalidad masculina disminuye. Esto demuestra que las mujeres ingresan al comercio digital desde un punto de partida más vulnerable y no más protegido. El e-commerce no corrige esta desigualdad previa, sino que al final la traduce en un formato digital. La desigualdad cambia de forma, pero no desaparece. En base a las estructuras, perdón. Ahí sí. En base al empoderamiento, perdón, el comercio electrónico sí genera empoderamiento económico para las mujeres y hombres. Permite conciliar trabajo y cuidado en el caso de las mujeres, pero disminuye los costos, acceder a mercados amplios y manejar tiempos propios. Como documentos, las mujeres reconocen sentirse más independientes, seguras y valoradas al generar ingresos propios. Perdón. La precarización, a ver si disculpen. El eje central de la investigación en particular es la precarización como rostro oculto del e-commerce. Una precarización que se expresa en tres dimensiones fundamentales que identificamos en nuestro caso, en nuestro análisis, y en la literatura y también en los datos institucionales. Como primera instancia están los derechos laborales, la salud mental y la estabilidad económica. En los derechos laborales es real que las mujeres que emprenden digitalmente lo hacen sin contrato, sin seguridad social, sin acceso a licencias médicas, vacaciones o protección frente a enfermedades. El e-commerce ofrece autonomía, es real, pero esa autonomía recae sobre una ausencia total de derechos laborales, lo que claramente genera a las mujeres una desprotección ante cualquier contingencia. Como segundo, la salud mental. La hiperconexión, la presión de responder a toda hora, la necesidad de mantenerse visible en las redes sociales y la dependencia del algoritmo generan estrés, ansiedad y agotamiento emocional. Muchos de los datos o los relatos de las mujeres que hemos analizado mencionan cansancio extremo, culpa por no cumplir el ritmo digital y preocupación constante por la caída de la venta. Aquí la precarización no solo es económica, sino que también es emocional y psicológica. Como tercer eje, la estabilidad económica. Si bien es cierto en el e-commerce la demanda fluctúa, los ingresos son irregulares y la visibilidad depende de factores externos, como el algoritmo, que las emprendedoras no pueden controlar. Esto produce una inestabilidad estructural donde las mujeres pueden tener semanas muy buenas y luego periodos sin venta, lo que profundiza la inseguridad financiera. La estabilidad económica termina siendo frágil, impredecible y sostenida exclusivamente en su esfuerzo personal. En conjunto, estos tres puntos muestran que la precarización no es solamente accidental, sino que es una estructura de modelo de trabajo digital donde se superpone directamente el empoderamiento, coexistiendo con él y contradiciéndolo. Nosotros tenemos un caso que lo va a exponer Paulina.
Sí, cortito. La individualizamos como Paulina para no ponerle otro nombre, sino yo misma. Tenemos, de nuestra entrevista, tuvimos varios casos de mujeres que iniciaron principalmente con comercio, ¿cómo llamarlo? De comida, de confites, de tortas, etcétera, no sé cómo se produce eso, para que se entienda. Y claro, efectivamente le daba la autonomía de generar este emprendimiento, pero a la vez le generaba una presión porque estaba realizándolo en su casa con el cuidado de su hijo, y finalmente Paulina en algún minuto se enferma y está 15 días en el fondo sin poder vender, hacer la entrega que corresponde, y ella misma nos planteó que no tenía seguridad social, no tenía subsidio por licencia médica, si efectivamente esta enfermedad hubiera sido algo más grave, no tenía ningún tipo de protección de salud, y por lo demás tenía toda una dificultad mental de que no podía generar los ingresos necesarios para continuar con este negocio desde su casa, que es lo más básico. Entonces, desde lo básico, podemos ver de que existe efectivamente esta oportunidad de esta libertad, esta democratización, esta independencia, pero en la práctica, la verdad es que no ha aportado ninguna brecha, por el contrario, le genera más estrés emocional, más preocupación, y desde ahí queremos dar conclusión al fondo de la investigación para no alargarnos más.
Dentro del caso de Paulina, efectivamente nosotras proponemos un diálogo, que es una pequeña discusión, donde el comercio electrónico constituye una herramienta valiosa para la autonomía económica de las mujeres, especialmente en contextos donde el trabajo formal es inaccesible. Sin embargo, el e-commerce no es en sí mismo un espacio liberador, sino que al contrario, su potencial empoderador se mantiene limitado por desigualdades estructurales de género, la ausencia de políticas públicas, la informalidad digital y la sobrecarga de cuidado. En otras palabras, nuestro aporte investigativo en este diálogo y en el caso de Paulina es proponer una lectura más compleja donde el e-commerce reordene la precarización femenina en nuevas formas. Tenemos 2 propuestas, donde la primera es reconocer y proteger el trabajo digital femenino, urge formalización, flexibilidad, financiamiento con enfoque de género y alfabetización digital para las mujeres. Esta propuesta es que debemos incluir 4 elementos al menos, donde lo primero, tenemos que incluir la protección social flexible, acceso a financiamiento con perspectiva de género, acompañamiento técnico y fortalecimiento de capacitaciones, y políticas públicas que integren la economía digital desde un enfoque de género. La segunda propuesta se centra técnicamente en la raíz estructural, donde el cuidado, mientras las mujeres sigan sosteniendo la mayor parte del trabajo no remunerado, la flexibilidad del e-commerce seguirá convirtiendo en una sobrecarga para ellas. No hay autonomía económica sin tiempo propio, ¿ya? El tiempo es un recurso económico y hoy es uno de los más desiguales entre hombres y mujeres. El hecho de que las mujeres trabajen de manera precaria digitalmente en los hogares, pero también el cuidado de los hijos y el cuidado doméstico, hace que efectivamente se vean vulneradas y el trabajo no sea de la manera correcta y sus ventas declinen y su estado emocional más que todo se ve afectado. En conclusión, este aporte es una propuesta conceptual y metodológica donde el e-commerce debe entenderse como un espacio donde el empoderamiento femenino se construye desde condiciones precarizadas y donde la desigualdad se reorganiza digitalmente. Tenemos que avanzar hacia un escenario de verdadera autonomía donde se requieren políticas de cuidado, financiamiento, educación digital y protección social. Finalmente, si durante la discusión se solicitan ciertos datos, tenemos los del INE, que fueron con los que trabajamos, donde...
30 segundos.
Ya estamos perdón. De INE, que desde 2018 a la fecha ha aumentado más del 50% la informalidad femenina en el trabajo. Muchas gracias.
Si quieres abrirla, que agregamos un chicos, porque se queda una para las preguntas. O podemos juntarle si queda una para las preguntas.
Sí, o si las preguntas eventualmente van a ser en inglés, tenemos nuestra profesora guía, porque para...
Bueno, sí, está bien.
Lo advertimos
Está
por si
bien.
acaso.
Ok, perfecto. Gracias.
Okay, thank you very much. We have to continue with the next panelist. The title is Bridging the Gender Gap in Trade, Empowering Women Through AI. And Arnavi Nathave, your name. Okay, she's from University of Oxford. Okay, the floor is yours.
Very good evening, everyone. I know that after the lunch, everyone would be busy. I won't bore you. Okay. What I request you is please take pictures of the slides because the statistics have been shared a lot of time. The data is given, the women, where the women stand in the global trade has already been shared a lot. So I will just skim through it and I won't let you sleep. Okay. It will be a very quick I hope it will be a quick presentation. I'm not used to it though, but I will stick to the 10 minutes timeline. But yeah. So the research title, of course, it came into conception when I was at Oxford and I was studying digital diplomacy, AI and diplomacy. And then when later I studied trade law, I think that was the time when I thought that the collaboration would be a better and much more practical thing. And hence I went into for the research and met some beautiful organizations and officials that were working at the intersection. And I have deliberately used some case studies that belong to developing and the least developed countries so that it doesn't look like that the research is based on some unachievable and hypothetically woven in the AI bubble. So we'll start with it. So running through first what the gender gaps are. and numerously that we have talked about in various presentations. The information gaps, the financial gaps, and please focus on the statistics because I have read through it a lot and I need to focus on them as well. 60% of women lack for So see, these are such important database that without this, you cannot move further. And these are the starting point of entering into the global trade. After that, as we have talked at length for finance, like $1.7 trillion finance gap for women that are just 15% of the global trade exporters. Then come to the digital divide, from access to internet, from ownership of mobile phones to women in STEM industries. These are the statistics. And if this is the representation, like where are we going to stand in the global trade? Coming to the mobility and compliance because of the domestic duties of the women, they are much more restricted by these barriers. And the representation gap, as we talked in the morning session in the panel discussion, that nothing about us without us. So it represents what we have as the statistics. Coming after that, where we can use AI and in what sense and how much it can help in bringing women in the forefront and can be used as a catalyst. I will, at every stage, I will give you a case study so that we can understand that how they are actually being used and not just in a hypothetical scenario, right? So the first example is ITC SheTrade's AI platform. It is a very strong AI-enabled market access initiative for women. It actually uses AI-driven analytics to give women entrepreneurs real-time data and access of sectoral demands and forecasts, tariffs and non-tariff updates, competitor analysis, as well as buyers databases. Moving on. In production skills and value chains, we have very impactful Shimi technologies from Bangladesh. As we have seen in one of the presentations, that garment and the textile industries were the topmost industries where women dominate in the global trade. So this is an AI-driven upskilling program for women, and it is one of the world's largest women program that is initiated by Shimi Technologies. It actually uses AI simulations and a gamification application to train women regardless of their educational background, and it makes women workers learn the machine handling, pattern making, as well as factory automations. And the results have been impeccable. The wage increased, the productivity has increased, and the factory efficiency has also gone up. That we come to something very interesting. Access to finance and credit score, an app called Tala, which is primarily was tested in Kenya, Philippines, and Tanzania as well, but eventually it was shut down for some reasons. So it is an AI-based credit scoring for unbanked women who do not have a bank account as a micro entrepreneurs. So it uses an alternative data other than their collateral assets or their bank accounts. It actually uses their smartphone usages, their behavioral patterns, for example, their purchases, whether it could be grocery or even childcare, to create their credit scores for women without collateral. Next is for logistic, customs, and trade facilitation. This is example from Singapore's TradeNet. It is one of the world's earliest and most efficient AI-backed trade facilitation system, which uses AI to automate permit approvals, risk assessment, and compliance checks for exporters, including women-led MSMEs. And it has reported a cost saving of up to 35% on logistics and compliance for women in MSMEs. Further going to standard certification and compliances, the EU and AI-enabled due diligence tools, also called the compliance checker, it actually is used to help small exporters, many women there, meet environmental and labor standards by using AI analysis for supply chains, sustainability matrix, and regulatory requirements, then creates a tailored compliance pathway. So basically automating and customizing it for the MSMEs led by. After this, a very critical question in any of the AI researches is whether AI will really bridge the gap or will it reinforce the existing issues that we are facing? And hence, I would quickly let you through the issues that are actually that can create much more problems in this conception. So the bias credit scoring, this training data often reflects historical discriminations, and women as a result, women get lower loan approvals despite their strong business performance. After that, the algorithms retain visibility. If datasets do not contain gender disaggregated inputs, women entrepreneurs get either misclassified or even excluded from the existing data. Reinforcement of the stereotypes. AI models may classify women-owned businesses as low growth models and may have been biased about it. Then surveillance and data exploitations. Without privacy safeguards, women face higher exploitations of cost, is risking when using digital tools. And then unequal access to AI itself is a big barrier. Countries with weak digital infrastructure cannot adopt to these technologies. Over automation of value chains. In industries where women dominate low-skilled workers, AI may reduce the employment overall without offering a reskilling pathways. So in all, considering all the case studies I have been and all the issues in general, there is a framework that I would like to propose, the WAVE framework, which stands for Women-Centric Data and AI Designs, Accessible and Affordable Digital Infrastructures, Value Chain Integrations through PPPs, and Enabling Governance and Trade Law alignments. Even in these, I want to present all the recommendations with possible examples and case studies which are actually being used. So first is Kenya e-trade for women. It is a program redesigned its AI market dashboard after data showed that rural women were misclassified as high risk. After the redesign, over 12,000 women gained access to accurate market insights. Moving on to accessible and affordable digital infrastructure, an example for Rwanda's digital IDs, a very small and resource-limited economy, but it created a national digital ID system that enabled 90% of women entrepreneurs to formalize their businesses. And the low-cost digital foundation is now helping their entire regional export market. Moving on to value chain integration, again, the example from Bangladesh, it actually helped train 40,000 women through AI simulation, and factories reported 15% productivity growth overall in the first year itself. Enabling governance, and here's the example from Chile. So the Ministry of Chile, Trade Ministry incorporated gender-responsive digital trade clauses into some of the bilateral agreements. This allowed women-led SMEs and firms to access simplified cross-border processes with immediate effects. However, this framework, I don't want to present it as something that is, hypothetical or very idealistic, and it is going to be faced by a lot of roadblocks discussed earlier as well, and mentioned in a lot of international reports as well. So there is an uneven digital readiness amongst especially the least developed and landlocked countries, increasing and widening the digital divide, weak gender and data systems. Most economies do not even collect gender disaggregated trade and SMEs data, which biases remain, the last one. Biases remain invincible. Legal fragmentation across regimes and harmonized AI ethical, no harmonization between AI ethics and gender audits, limited national capacity, of course, and cultural and social barriers are the base of everything. Then risk of corporate dominance. One company can dominate the AI, of course, and sustainability of implementation. At the end and the conclusion, AI is not a magic equalizer, but it is a very important structural opportunity for women to get into the global trade arena. And hence, if we design it with a women at the center, regulate it with fairness, and implement it with cooperation across governments, international organizations, NGOs, and private sector, AI can finally make global trade a place where opportunity is not determined by gender, but have a lot of potential.
Okay, thank you, Navi. You spend just 30 seconds more. Just 30 seconds more, no, it's no problem. Okay, it's because we are 8 people here in this panel, and me, 9. Okay, the next presentation I think is gonna be in Spanish, because I have the title in Spanish. Propiedad intelectual y migración con perspectiva de género. Una mirada hacia las mujeres extranjeras inventoras en patentes de residentes en Chile. Va a presentar Fabiola Sibeti, académica del Instituto de Estudios Internacionales de la Universidad de Chile, quien es doctora en Derecho Internacional por la Universidad de Sao Paulo. Y Álvaro González López, encargado de Inteligencia de Negocios del Instituto Nacional de Propiedad Intelectual. And there's a little change in the program because they need to present for the other people, sorry. Okay, the floor is yours.
I think I'm only going to present me because I think Fabiola is in another panel. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you very much for this invitation. Okay, our work is intellectual property and migration with a gender perspective, a look at the foreigner women inventors in resident patent in Chile. Okay. Okay. The resident patent application in Chile, the average it's about 400 patent application by each year. Okay, and if we measure the number of patent inventor for each year, we discover that each application in average has 2.1 inventors. Okay. So, for example, in the year 2024, we received 390 patent applications, and in those patent applications, we found 111 inventors. Okay. So, when we receive the patent application at INAPI, we ask the nationality of the inventors. So with this information, we can measure the number of Chilean inventor and foreign inventor. And if we compare the number of foreign inventor versus Chilean inventor, we discover that in the year, if we compare the year 2014 versus 2024, we perceive an increase of 39% of foreign inventors in the resident patent application. Okay, and if we see the proportion of these same numbers, we discover the proportion of foreign inventor. It's about the 6.5% in the resident application. The highest number was received in the year 2017 with 6.7%. We don't still know why we receive a high number of foreign inventor in this year. But if we compare the number of countries from the year, from the nationality of the foreign inventors in the resident patent application in Chile from the year 2014 versus 2024, we discovered the main country was the United States. And now we discover a lot of new countries. And Spain was the main country in the year 2024. And in the year 2014, we received application from only 8 countries. And in the year 2024, we received 15 countries. But if we see the rate of women inventor in the resident patent application in Chile, the curve is very flat. And we discovered that the proportion of women inventor in the year 2024 was at 20.9% in the total resident application. You can see the statistic in this link. We have a report of all the women report with a patent application. But when we measure the rate in the resident application versus the women inventor in foreign inventor in resident application, we discover the women in foreign application has a higher rate because we don't know if the number of women inventor in foreign application is higher. Oh. So our conclusion is in the year 2024, an increase of 39% in the number of foreign inventor in resident patent application in Chile was observed. The foreign inventor geographic diversity increased substantially in the year 2024, with an expanding from 7 to 15 countries. The geographic composition of the foreign inventor shift in 2024, while the United States was previously being the primary source country. The data shows the participation from diverse countries, including China, Guatemala, Spain, and Venezuela, among others. And the foreign inventors show a greater gender parity. Women inventor rate is 12% higher among the resident Chilean inventors. Okay, that is our presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, you have 4 minutes more if you want to add something. No, it's not okay.
I want to share our dashboard gender report of INAPI. This could be very interesting for you. This is in our web page. It's an interactive report. Here you have the resident patent application. Then you have the number of inventors. Then you have the comparison between patent and inventors, but then you can see the number of specific women inventor and men for each year. When you see indeterminate, it's because we cannot assume the gender by the name of the inventor. We use the name and information with the Civil Registry of Chile, and we use artificial intelligence to determine the gender of an inventor. And then we can see the rate of and the evolution of the proportion of women inventors for each year. And then we can see the proportion of patent application by region in Chile and the number of inventors for each region. And then we can see the number of women and men inventors for each region in Chile. And then the proportion of women inventors for each region. For example, the Biobío is the region in Chile that has the highest number of the highest proportion of women inventors. And then we can see an analysis by area. So we can see in this the proportion of women inventor by technology. For example, we can see biotech and chemistry has the highest proportion, and there is another areas like motors or communication that has 0 women inventor. And then we can see the proportion by type of applicant. For example, enterprise, natural person, and university, the proportion of application and the proportion of inventors, and then we can see the gap for each type of applicant. So we can see the university has the higher proportion, the application of the universities has the higher proportion of women inventors. And then the enterprises with 21% and natural person 13%. And we have a similar analysis to trademark in Chile too. And that's all. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for this extraordinary information. Okay, we have the next panelist. Okay, the title of the presentation is Trade, Gender and Digitalization, the role of digital trade in promoting gender equality. Stephen Friedman, he is the CEO of Trade Facilitation Office from Canada. The floor is yours.
Thanks very much. Thanks to the organizers for the kind invitation. For a second there, Rosemary, I thought you were giving me an extra 4 minutes. So obviously, as I've gotten to know a number of you over the last 2 days, it's very apparent. My organization is not a research organization, not a university, not part of academia, but we collaborate a lot with a lot of you. And so before I forget, let this be an open invitation or a request to reach out because we would definitely see a lot of value in a lot of the research and the stuff that you're doing that actually helps to inform the projects that we implement in these specific areas. So maybe TFO Canada, so as Rosemary said, it stands for Trade Facilitation Office Canada. We are a not-for-profit, non-government organization, been around for 45 years. Our mission is really to catalyze economic growth through sustainable and inclusive trade partnerships for small and medium enterprise in developing countries. We categorize our services into 3 areas: information, advice, and contact. We are sector agnostic, so we work in multiple different sectors in different parts of the world. It's often about what a country wants to promote in terms of its exports, as well as looking at what is the demand for those products as well. Of course, underlying all that is the development impact that we're able to achieve as well. And so that's why we work in all of these different areas. As I mentioned, our service delivery, so we are an internationally experienced project management team based in Canada, and we do work with a very extensive international network of associates that are trade specialists, experts, researchers such as yourselves. Just to give you an idea of the scope, so this is the number of countries we've worked in last year. So you can see we span the globe, certainly the Southern Hemisphere, everywhere from in Latin America, the Caribbean, parts of Africa, Eastern Europe, Middle East, as well as Asia. We are aligned to the SDGs, and so it's number 5, number 8, number 10, and number 13. Those are the core areas that we're very aligned to, and we make sure that our impact. So when I talked about the demand and the supply side, we're also looking at the development impact that we can achieve through the projects that we deliver. I don't want to spend too much time on the impact and the potential for digital trade. I think that's been well covered over the last couple of days, but there's no doubt that there still are gaps, and you'll see in the project that I wanted to share with you, we did uncover a number of those gaps. We lived through them around connectivity, literacy, financing, and that institutional support, which is an important one because a lot of our work is actually done through partner institutions on the ground in the countries You know, for women entrepreneurs, digitalization is not just a technological upgrade. It's a pathway to strengthen agency, flexibility, and access to global markets in the context where mobility restrictions, time burdens, and limited networks can often hinder their participation. This is also significant in fragile or conflict-affected areas or crisis impact economies where women face compounding constraints. So digital, as many others have talked about, it can be an equalizer, but it's not the only thing. It's not a panacea. So want to shift gears, talk about the project that we recently completed. And so it's called Women in Trade for Inclusive Sustainable Growth. It was funded through Global Affairs Canada with in-kind and in-cash contributions that we received from other parts. We implemented across 23 countries, and really our aim was to increase the export capacity of women-led and owned SMEs through enhanced market access, digital trade, and gender-responsive institutional strengthening. COVID-19, so as you can tell by the dates, we lived through COVID-19 pandemic. And so, you know, this actually accelerated a lot of the needs for digital solutions. And so we were using things like virtual B2B platforms, digital training, but we really saw that hybrid delivery models not only kept the project operational, but it also showed the transformative potential of digitalization of women through this project. So let me talk to you, maybe I'll just read a little bit on some of the findings, because I think you're going to find these quite interesting. So the first one is around access. And so access to digital tools and trade information varied significantly across regions. So remember, this project was across 23 countries, spanning from Latin America all the way across to Southeast Asia. So for example, in Africa, unstable internet connectivity led many women to participate in virtual trainings through mobile phones rather than computers. And so to mitigate some of these challenges, we actually, TFO Canada, provided recorded webinars and supported more mobile data access. In Southeast Asia, language emerged as a significant barrier, particularly for entrepreneurs in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Indonesia, because unfortunately, TFO Canada operates in 3 official languages, French, English, and Spanish. So, but despite these challenges, the Women in Trade project succeeded and created unprecedented access to online training, trade intelligence tools, and virtual business-to-business events. We had more than 12,800 SMEs that were registered on our supplier database on our website, and about roughly 10% of them were women-led. So there's still a lot of work to be done as far as that goes. Adoption. So the transition from access to adoption required women to engage actively with digital tools. Many participants reported resistance to using platforms perceived as too technical or time-consuming, particularly tasks such as updating websites, creating digital catalogs, and navigating platform registrations. As we know, once you embark on your digital journey, you have to continue to feed the beast. And so that becomes very time-consuming, right? Onerous. So what we saw also is that older entrepreneurs often relied on their children to assist with digital activities, reflecting intergenerational collaboration, but also limited some digital confidence. The digital adoption was often hampered by economic barriers, such as subscription fees associated with e-commerce platforms. So we provided a lot of one-on-one coaching to motivate these women and clarify the benefits and really try to create that trust. And then, of course, mentorship was important. So those that were successful, that were confident, were able to mentor others and really be there as their coach, if you will. In terms of the application, so digital applications refer to the consistent use of digital tools for critical business processes such as online marketing, certification, packaging, redesign, outreach to buyers. So when women applied these tools inconsistently, while many were able to articulate the importance of digital branding, e-commerce, online visibility, they frequently struggled with maintaining their online profiles, uploading documents, and completing technical processes without the guidance that they needed. And so the most substantial improvements that we observed in the life of the project happened during the coaching, when women were supported in tasks such as searching for buyer requirements, comparing packaging standards, or even updating their materials. The fourth is around adaptation, so tailoring these digital solutions to the context and the sectors. And so this really marks a deeper stage of digital empowerment. So trade support institutions, so these are the organizations that we work with in country. So for example, here in Chile, it's ProChile. They play significant roles in adjusting their service delivery models to local circumstances. They develop sector-specific coaching for agri-food, handicraft, service-based SMEs, and use digital scheduling tools to organize mentoring sessions and tailor support in response to local connectivity and language realities. COVID-19 accelerated the adoption of hybrid models, which expanded the reach and reduced costs overall. And women themselves were able to adapt digital tools to their unique business contexts, modifying packaging, labeling, documentation, even their business models to increase their visibility. And the last is really around advancement. And so while the Women in Trade project facilitated notable progress, several gaps persist. So the trade support institutions were introducing digital forms, standardized virtual training, but they lack sophisticated systems to track long-term digital adoption and measure post-training among the SMEs. And so although the women began using these tools, they managed to be able to manage their business remotely. They were able to increase their autonomy as well. I would say at the end, the project did generate some meaningful institutional achievements. So 17 of the 23 lead trade support institutions that we worked with, so 17 out of the 23 countries, they adopted gender strategies, and women's representation and leadership increased from 42 to 48%. So now I know I'm probably running up against the time clock, but I just wanted to maybe give some recommendations. So for us, it's really important because, you know, as much as we want to share the impacts of our projects, we also want to know what should we be doing in the future if we're doing more projects in these areas. And so institutional systems have to be strengthened to track long-term digital adoption. That's clear. If you don't have that kind of methodology, you're not sure who's actually gaining and what they need, maybe as additional supports. The digital literacy programs should be expanded, especially targeting older women, rural entrepreneurs, and those with low prior exposure to technology. Multilingual, low-band digital tools should be developed to accommodate regional language diversity and infrastructure constraints. I think AI could help us a lot in that area. Platforms costs should be addressed through subsidies, negotiated partnerships, or collective bargaining with digital marketplaces. Again, that's a barrier to entry, those monthly fees. Regional institutionalization of digital coaching models would deepen scale and impact. And finally, integrating digital trade considerations into national trade gender policies would reinforce sustainability and alignment with the broader development agendas. I'll skip the last slide around conclusions, other than just to say that, you know, we've talked about this before. The digitalization, when embedded within a gender-responsive project design supported by strong institutional frameworks, has the potential, it really does, to transform women's participation in trade. And our project really did demonstrate that. And I guess in closing, because I know I'm on time, I do want to acknowledge the financial support that we received for this project of Global Affairs Canada. Earlier, we heard talk about the feminist foreign policy. It's notable that Global Affairs Canada, as being the Canadian institution that houses trade, development, and policy, does have a feminist international assistance policy, and hopefully you've learned a little bit more through our project and how we were able to achieve that. Thank you.
Okay, now we are moving to the last presentation, but not the least important presentation. The title of the presentation is From Access to Empowerment, How Digital Trade Shapes Women's Economic Agency. The participant is Sivapriya Ajit. She is from Research Associate for Center for International Trade and Business Law. Nasser Hyderabad. Okay, the floor is yours, Sivapriya.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for the kind introduction. And you have pronounced my name right. And am I audible? Is it clear?
Sorry? Yes.
Am I clear?
Yes.
Am I audible? Okay.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
It's perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Perfect.
Okay. So, as a final presenter standing in way of the closing ceremony, I'll make my presentation short and sweet so that we won't make it repetitive. And I'm thankful to all the previous presenters because they have helped me in two ways. One, it was very insightful session. I got to learn a lot. Second one, you guys have made it easier for me because most of what I wanted to speak has already been covered. So in my presentation, I'll be dealing with those areas which has not been covered as of now. So I'll just share my PPT.
Do you have some problems sharing your PPT?
Just a minute. Okay, is it visible now?
No.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So I'll be presenting on the topic from access to empowerment, how digital trade shapes women's economic agency. But in the paper, it will be covered mainly from India's perspective. And as we have seen in the previous presentation, legal provisions, what should be the recommendations, what should be the way forward, everything has been covered. But I'll be dealing with most of the successful examples that has been implemented in India, along with some of other key information that is required to be seen from India's perspective. So before going on, let's focus on what is meant by digital trade. So there is a confusion regarding how this term should be defined. And with a joint compromise between OECD, IMF, and WTO, digital trade has been made to include all trade that is digitally ordered and/or digitally delivered, which means it includes both physical goods as well as digitally delivered services. Now, why or is there a digital gender divide? As per the statistics published by International Telecommunication Union in 2023, titled The Gender Digital Divide, 70% of the women who owns mobile phones depend on other family members for money transactions. So it shows that there is a gap, or the dividends of the digital economy is not being enjoyed, or it's not favoring the women. And also, if you look into the statistical report, 10% women are not able to have the digital identification requirements that is needed in order to make this, or in order to step into this digital economy. Moving on, why, or when we say that gender equality should be there, why should we need to approach the subject from a gender lens? What is the requirement? For me, I have tried to narrow it down to 5 scenarios or 5 factors. So one would be the sustainable development goal, one among them is the fifth goal, which talks about the gender equality. And if you look into it, apart from it, there are other conventions, soft and hard laws, which include CEDAW, UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights, WTO Joint Statement Initiative. So all this states that if there is or we can impliedly mean that if there is a digital exclusion, it can amount to discrimination in the modern terms or in modern age. And next one, if you look into the participation gaps, representation wise, for example, those who design the women's policies, there is no women representation at the head of these technological or any other policy making decision platforms. And if you look into the access barriers, most women don't have. It has already been mentioned numerous times. So I'll go on to the next one, economic case. If you look into the economic opportunity of or viewing this particular object or subject from gender lens, it has been, McKinsey has stated that global GDP potential is expected to be $12 trillion if the gender gap is closed. Another one, 25% potential increase in economic output. And there is one another incentive. If women are being brought to the digital economy, one such incentive is that they invest twice back into the families, communities. So it's not just about fairness, it's about unlocking massive economic potential. So if you look and if you go into the policy risk and policy action perspectives, we can find that or most of the panelists have said that there should be gender sensitive measures or gender it should be something which is user friendly, not technical friendly. So what does that mean? Is gender neutral policies the way forward? No, because gender neutral policies makes the presumption that men and women are on the same platform or say level playing field, on the same level playing field, which is not the case. So in that case, gender neutral platforms or gender neutral policies is not the way forward, and it does not ensure that it will bring the women to the forefront. But on the other hand, we need to ensure that there is sensitive guidelines, which has already been stated. So in short, my point is, in not viewing this matter from gender lens or gender lens is ensuring growth lens, because it unlocks massive economic potential, which is creating sustainable and inclusive growth for all. And if you look into the building skills and overcoming barriers, one such thing which we have noticed is that a woman owning a mobile or electronic device does not mean that she is or digital inclusion is achieved, because there are other factors which needed to be. For example, even I am coming from a middle income household. When mobile phones was introduced, it was my father who first bought or who had access to a mobile phone. Later on, because of educational opportunities or educational needs which we had, it was us children who had the second or who was second in line to access a mobile phone. And it was only at the end my mom had access to a mobile phone. So you can see that there is a hierarchy even from a member belonging to a middle income family on access to these digital devices. So another way is device ownership. Again, a person or woman having access to a digital device does not mean because she may not be digitally literate. So there are many other factors. So design must always be made taking note that she is considered. It is made for her. And therefore, will digital or ownership ensure empowerment? No. Empowerment means it should be a comprehensive empowerment, which means there should be sector formalization, there should be digital financial literacy, there should be safety concerns, it should look into the structural barriers that women faces. So all these need to be considered in order to make sure a sensitive gender policy is being made. And for this, I would like to state one of the case studies which has been implemented in one of the states in India, Bihar Rural Women Digital Literacy Program. So here, it was a simple step that was taken, where women were taught to use smartphone and internet basics. And it was found that there was a 60% active users who used this phones for payments in WhatsApp business and local sales. So you can see that, or this demonstrates how digital skills or educating the women led to participation, and in a way it led to economic agency. And these are the legal provisions which are viewed from the WTO and international trade, and this has been already mentioned, so I won't go into this. But let me now shift the focus into 3 successful programs that has been implemented in India, where e-commerce was seen as an economic equalizer. So one is Amazon Saheli. Saheli is a Hindi word. It's one of the languages in India. Saheli means female friend. So here what happens is, it is encouraging women entrepreneurs to log in to access the help from Amazon website. And this would include help in the form of free imaging, cataloging, account management, subsidized referral fee. So all this will be provided to the women. And this is for a particular time frame. And here it was found that after providing the services, there was an increase in the women who had an income rise, that 2, 3 to 5 times more. And if you look into the next example, which is Meesho resellers. So here also it is given to both men and women, but it has been found that majority of the women from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities in India had or were using this platform. Why? Because there was a Yes.
Sorry, your time is over. Maybe if you can finish in 30 seconds more.
Okay, I feel okay. 2 minutes more. Okay, fine. I'll wrap it up.
30 seconds more, please.
Okay, sure. So the another 2 models are Meesho resellers and Seva digital skills. So these all are the successful projects that has been implemented in India so far. And if you look into the digital financial inclusion, this is the strongest determinants of women's agency. So UPI, it's a unified payment interface which has been developed in India, and this has been used for mobile banking. And also this makes sure that there is a verifiable footprint for women. And also this enables them to launch micro enterprise. So with this, I would like to state that the journey from access to empowerment is a clear and slow progression, which means there should be an access, there should be participation, which leads to income generation, which will lead to agency and empowerment for the women. But it is not stated that, or it is not concluded that it is an automatic result of giving access to these platforms. It is a natural progression, it is a catalyst. So if designed inclusively, digital trade becomes one of the most transformative tools for women's economic and social empowerment. So thank you. I'm so sorry for taking extra time, but thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Okay, I know this has been the largest panel of the most participants, but in my defense, when I received the information about the panel, we had 7 people, but 2 minutes before to start the panel, I received the information that 1 people was added. But it's okay, everybody had the time. It's not possible to take questions, sorry, but the time is over. Thank you very much. Okay.
Coffee.
Okay, is coffee time.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. I just remember. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'm going to change you to
We're not years, and we are very much project-based. We get funders. Good. Yes, so we're developing models in all parts of the world. And it's really about supporting SMEs to be able to trade, to export their goods or services to other markets. So it doesn't have to be a lot more work. They were leveraging the funny, a lot of our Asian partners, like Bangladesh, they do all see potential products. And so one of the first things we tell any SME website is free. It's covered up the project. So as long as the SME obviously thinks the basic, so we're not supporting the USA, UK, France-based companies, that it's trade to achieve development. Yeah, we do B2B, so we support on trade issues. And we work, our main partners in trade support institutions, so if, for example, in Bangladesh, we work with the SME Foundation, we work with the Ministry of Trade. Sometimes it can be a sector association. It varies from country to country. Yes. Yeah. You're from India? Yeah. Yeah. So I was talking to your friend earlier. It's an area that I think has potential. Yes. I'll give you two reasons. Obviously, massive country with thousands and thousands of SMEs that probably need this kind of support.
Absolutely.
And then secondly, Canada has now, for the last couple of months, re-established diplomatic relations with India. So for me, that represents potential funding opportunities to really say, okay, so we're talking about trade relations, but what supports can we put into place to really help?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I think it is a really great initiative. And the amount of work, like the map you showed, I was like, oh my God, this is insane. Yeah. And the fact that it was established 45 years ago, oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah. The amount of work it had been. I really want to know if
Excuse me, Stephen. Steve, yes. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Can you hear us?
I'm online.
Hello.
I just want to say hi. I am a fellow Canadian. I'm from Ottawa.
Oh, really? Okay. I'm from Ottawa too.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much for the invitation, for the great event today. And I quite enjoyed your presentation as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye-bye.
You think this one's the hot one?
of this conference. So I would like just to say a few words, and then Amrita will close the conference. So through these 2 days, I think we have looked at women in many different roles. Women as caregivers, entrepreneurs, digital entrepreneurs, patent holders, refugees, informal workers, employers and employees, cross-border traders, women in the maritime sector, even women as truck drivers. So we really have looked at all the roles women hold, and in many cases, they hold several roles at the same time. And we have looked at the many obstacles they face. And we have asked ourselves, what are countries doing? How are they trying to address these difficulties that are quite evident? And I think that a lot of conversation, a lot of debate has focused on these famous gender chapters in the trade agreements. We have heard about some already concrete results. That was what Marcela Otero shared with us yesterday about more Chilean women exporting to Uruguay, probably because of the FTA that includes a gender chapter. But then I think the big questions that we tried to address was, are these chapters enough? Are these the right instruments we have to put in place? Are these chapters addressing the root causes of gender inequality? And to be effective, should they be accompanied by policies, for instance, on labor, on how to regulate the health sector, etc.? And then I think some participants had the feeling that we are going too slowly, that the progresses are not going as fast as expected, while others felt that we have to go step by step. So these chapters are a first step that may lead to something else. Then there was also an interesting idea that if we have a broader framework, for instance, the framework provided by the feminist foreign policies, then these specific initiatives in the trade field could find a place and support in this broader framework that is the feminist foreign policy. Now, this is something that in my mind was not, I am puzzled about it. Because I think on one hand, we said, whatever we have in the gender chapters is unique, is a kind of a wishful list of things that the countries could do. On the other hand, we also said that if we become very specific, then and the commitments become very strong, then this may become these commitments can be used for protectionist purposes, or can be regarded as a form of new colonialism. So I think still we have to decide what we really want: more precise, stronger, or what we want. So this is, of course, I didn't mean to summarize such a rich debate, but these are just some points that I thought were important and attracted a lot of attention. Now, let me say a few other words, more general words. This is a moment, but let's be honest, this is a moment where gender issues are not as high in the international agenda as they used to be. And this means less attention and less financing, and we have to face it. On the other hand, I have worked on trade policy for more than 30 years, and I have seen that issues go up, then go down, they after a while, they come back again with a lot of strength. So don't despair. gender issues may come up again strongly. Not now, but they may. And because there is this kind of reluctance, it is important to find the spaces where we can discuss these issues. And I think, some of us were frustrated because we couldn't go to the conference or the Trade and Gender Conference that we had been planning for 2 years at the WTO, and that was cancelled. But we are here. So in a way, if one space is not forthcoming, we can find other spaces. And I think it is what we have demonstrated, that if we cannot be in Geneva, we will be in Santiago, and we can keep discussing. And one thing that really impressed me is the number of young people who are working on these issues. We had really excellent papers, excellent contributions, and I perceived a lot of enthusiasm to work on trade and gender issues. So the issue will not die, because if we have so many young people who are interested in doing this kind of research, then and sharing their findings, this will contribute to make the issue very lively. And we heard this morning from Victor the very good news that this kind of conferences will become an annual meeting. So Victor is our next host. I think this gives continuity to the debate, and also it gives everybody the idea, okay, we keep researching, we keep investigating with these issues, and we will have a place a space where we can share whatever the results we have. And also was very good that we, again, I think it was Victor that mentioned it, that the WTO chair program is open to collaboration with other researchers. And I think this is a win-win. The chairs will benefit from research by other experts and vice versa. And my last point is that I think so many interesting papers were presented, and it would be a pity if they kind of get lost. And I would really very much encourage to think about joining perhaps not all the papers, but some of them, most of them, in a publication. And this will really make our presence here very meaningful, and will give us hopes for continual collaboration in the future. So that's all. Thank you again for inviting me. I made a very long trip to reach Santiago, but I don't regret the 18, 19 hours I spent in a plane to reach Santiago. So thank you, Dorothea, thank you, Amrita, thank you to all of you. It was a great pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
We are even more pleased to have you, because a person like you who has spent a number of years, rather decades, working on this field, true inspiration for us. We definitely need a person like you who can present this perspective and add this perspective from the policy field to what we are doing, because that helps us connect our work with the policy world. So this perspective has been absolutely invaluable for us. I was really astonished when we started thinking about this idea of having this conference in July, was it? In July this year. We were in a Zoom call and Dorothea says, because we were still thinking, and we were upset about the failure and the cancellation of the WTO conference. And we said, well, this is a big shame. We need an avenue to meet our friends, to present, to progress in the field. What do we do? And we had a champion for a change here. Dorota said, come to Chile. I'll host the conference.
It's quite close.
And here we are today, right? 2 days, 50 papers on different subjects, range of topics, looking at trade and gender from different respects. 60 speakers from all over the world. Chile, China, India, Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, El Salvador, France, Canada, Taiwan, Costa Rica, Peru, Kenya, Europe, various European countries, US, Eastern Africa, Western Africa, UK. And this was phenomenal, right? Very little time we got to know a lot of diverse views and perspectives about the subject. So I'm sure we've gathered massive food for thought to go back home with. And I'm also sure that we have found new friends and new partners in each other. So we can, when we leave this room, this building today, when we leave Chile, we are going back with our community of friends that will keep us going and with whom we'll have more collaborations going forward, right? I would like to make 3 announcements, one of which we already made, but I would like to restate that. The WTO chairs here have decided to make this conference a permanent feature, an annual event. So every single year, we will be inviting you, we'll be offering this conference to the current scholars and the upcoming scholars on trade and gender. For next year, the conference is going to be in November. We will confirm the dates very soon to you. And we are going to Lima to our friend Victor, as Simonetta said. My second announcement is about the publication. And we have decided to publish a special issue in an index journal, which is based at this university. It is called the Latin American Journal of International Trade Policy. And this journal is peer-reviewed, indexed, and we will be publishing a special issue as the outcome from this conference. So once you're on your way back in a few days, please expect an email from us. We will not let you forget about us so soon. So we'll be sending you an email, a follow-up email. We'll be asking you, we'll be giving you a deadline, and we'll be asking you to send us your papers, of course, if you would like them to be published in the special issue of this wonderful journal at this university, at this institute. And we would then be publishing a few selected articles in the special issue of that journal. So you would be going out of this conference with a publication. And we will do that for every single conference. And my third announcement is that we are very close to finalizing a completely online interactive course on trade and gender equality. We will set it up within the next 2 months, 2.5 months. And to all the participants of this conference from this year onwards, we will provide a completely free open access to the online course on trade and gender equality. So keep a watch. We are going to send you an email very soon. And I cannot conclude without thanking our wonderful, wonderful hosts, Dorothea and her team. We could not have achieved this without you. So could I please ask you to raise a round of applause for us? Thank you. We conclude the conference.
We have better weather than Geneva.